That's all we do up north is walk. Girl, I'm about to pay a cab $15 to take me 3 blocks when I can walk it for free? Pass. Mimi couldn't help checking. And then ain't the bitch broke?
Yellow diamonds look like BP.
But I tried so hard to be nice to him. He's going to be producing my album. How should I deal with him? Lena had already decided she and Mimi were going to be best friends. But with this question, Mimi scored many bonus points. Mimi was the new hot girl on TLE, the girl that Lamont was banking on, and Miss Stang was deferring to her. As Mimi stared at her wide-eyed, Lena gave the question considerable thought. She felt like the all-knowing Wizard of Oz to Mimi's Dorothy. In the distance, she heard a dog barking. Toto? There's no doubt in my mind that he hates you, Lena said bluntly, which made Mimi's hopeful expression sag. Lena put her hand across the table and softened the blow with, "Because you're very pretty." That tepid compliment was all she was getting. Lamont is high on you, and most upsetting for little country D, you can look down on him. Literally. So don't forget, y'all, I got 2 Frenchies for all that snoring y'all are hearing. Just figure it out. But anyway, so remember, initially we thought that Daryl was Diddy, okay, or somebody else, a Diddy-ish character. Don't forget, the characters are summations of several people in the music industry. We thought it was Diddy at first. But then as we read the book, we found out that Daryl is from the South. And his buddy, Ridiculous, is from the South also. And at this time, considering that the dude is from the South, I'm leaning more towards Jermaine Dupri or Dallas Austin. You can look down on him, literally. Mimi nodded at Lena's sage assessment. Don't feel bad, Lena said. He doesn't like me, Vanessa, Imani, or any of the women in the inner sanctum. The inner sanctum? Lamont's people, Lena said impatiently. Did this girl need to have everything broken down to the letter? With a hushed reverence, Mimi asked, are all the women in the inner sanctum beautiful? You have to be, Lena said smugly, proud to be a member and pissed that she was probably considered the least beautiful of the bunch. But getting back to the problem on the table, she announced dramatically, Daryl is probably in his filthy little Brooklyn studio apartment getting a hex on you right now. Damn. Child, they be making that Daryl character look like the troll under the bridge. Y'all remember that children's book with the troll under the bridge? He was so angry at everybody because he was just so mean, ugly troll, and didn't nobody want to be his friend. So because nobody want to be his friend, he decided that he was going to be everybody's enemy. I don't know if that's fair to say, but I have come across very little men that be very angry. What am I going to do? Mimi cried, as though Lena were a tarot reader who just turned over the death card. Lena pressed the tips of her fingers together. Her nails were painted white with chipping, multicolored palm trees, a remnant of her Miami trip. He is a hot producer, Lena very reluctantly admitted. He is. Yeah, that song he did for Dickie is retarded. Okay. Mimi took it from the smile on Lena's face that retarded meant good. And on the low, he writes most of Dickie's material, Lena said, stepping for the waitress to bring her a second tart. I know you lying. I know she not sitting in nobody's restaurant going, hey, that thing that I ate earlier, bring me another one. I know this bitch ain't doing that to nobody. Somebody that bring your food. And on the low, he's written most of Dickie's material, Lena said, snapping for the waitress to bring her a second tart. There is your bright side. He'll probably give you some great songs. Just kill him with kindness, Lena said, deciding that was the way to go. I suspect all that boy needs is a little love. The waitress came over with bill in hand, so Lena bailed on tart number 2, which she knew she was dead wrong even to think about. Mimi immediately grabbed the bill, saying, "My treat." Lena hadn't even reached for her wallet. "Thanks," Lena said, scratching at a palm tree on her nail. "I'll get you next time. Things get kinda tight for me towards the end of the month. Nah, I mean? No, not really," Mimi said, putting down 3 20s. She barely had enough cash. That was a lot for 2 sandwiches and some tiny pastries paused in the drawers. Why would this be order 2 tarts and she ain't paying and wasn't even intending on paying? Let me find out she the kind of girl that's like, if you want my company, you're going to have to pay for it. That's a predatory type hoe. You got to be careful with her. My money doesn't come until the 1st, Lena explained somberly. She was referring to her monthly allowance, which was deposited directly into her checking account. But judging by her expression, you'd think she was waiting for food stamps and a welfare check to feed her starving children. "I thought you said you didn't work," Mimi said, assuming that by money she meant a paycheck, and also noting that it wasn't the end of the month. It was the 12th. "So, bitch, you broke already?" Sounds like she got old boogity-sugary habit to me. "I don't," Lena said curtly, because the fact that she didn't have any professional goals and didn't aspire to go on to higher education was a sore spot for her. Time to change the subject. "Want to come over and hang tonight?" She untied the waist of her burgundy FUBU sweats and exhaled. "Sure," Mimi answered. "Great," Lena said, throwing on her fur-lined denim jacket over her matching FUBU hooded sweatshirt. "Spend the night if you want. I ain't got shiz to do." "Okay," Mimi said brightly as they walked out. "Let me go to my place first to get some stuff." Lena immediately put her arm up for an approaching cab. "Lena," Mimi protested, "my apartment is only 3 blocks away. I thought we were going there first." "My apartment." Mimi couldn't believe she had a place in New York and a record deal. Every night she'd go to sleep hoping she wouldn't wake up to find it was all a dream. "I know, but it's cold," Lena complained. "And I'm full. I can't walk." "I know you effing lying to me. That's all we do up north is walk." "Girl, I'm about to pay a cab $15 to take me 3 blocks when I can walk it for free." Pass. Mimi couldn't help checking. "And then ain't the bitch broke? Or use a bitch? She used her parents, and now she using Mimi. Mimi, watch out for that bitch Lena. Watch out for her." Mimi couldn't help chuckling and scooted into the cab behind her. As they waited at the red light, Lena turned to her. "So you never told me. You got a man back at Toledo?" Mimi rolled her eyes. "Itch, please." They laughed. Vanessa de la Cruz was gazing into the mirror in her expertly lit bathroom, doing what she did best, admiring her own beauty. She brushed a glob of thick Bobby Brown, blotted, shook out her tumble of tawny locks, and admired herself again. Beautiful, gorgeous, beyond, almost ready to go to heaven. She hadn't used any L'Oreal tonight, though the products cluttered her bathroom, a perk of her lucrative contract with the cosmetics company. When they had approached her, she was delighted. When it came to light that they wanted her to hawk anti-wrinkle cream, she wanted to tell them to F off. She didn't have any wrinkles, Well, they were only beginning to sprout. Since she was supposed to look her age in the ads, did that mean they weren't going to airbrush? She was 31 and annoyed that she couldn't downgrade to 28 because her adult life was a matter of public record, and some nosy reporter would surely call her on it. Oh, to be young again. In her business, she felt like an archaeological find. Vanessa had appeared on the cover of every major fashion magazine, all continents, by the time she was 20. At the peak of her fame, she had predictably dated a grungy 20-something actor, and even more predictable, been dumped by him a year later without explanation. So, a grungy actor, and then he turned around and dumped her ass a year later? That sounds real Naomi Campbell-ish to me. She got a propensity to date the white actor men. Okay, but dump a year later sounds like Leonardo DiCaprio to me, or maybe that Brad Pitt. Of brief and tumultuous failed romances had followed along with the obligatory rehab stay at promises that didn't take. By 26, she had fallen out of favor with the fickle fashion flock, and like most models, had no contingency plan whatsoever. Having drunk from the well of fame and privilege, it was difficult to fade away into anonymity. So she took the L'Oreal job. She had to keep her face out there, but she had her agent negotiate for added compensation for having her face associated with the anti-aging product. On the edge of the sunken bathtub sat Vanessa's best friend, Mustafa, a slightly effeminate, painfully thin native of Senegal who claimed to be a performance artist, though curiously no one, not even Vanessa, had ever seen him perform anything anywhere, and he had no identifiable source of income. So I know this sounds crazy, but it sounds like people like Lena and the dude Mustafa who don't receive a 9-to-5 paycheck, their job is just to be around. That's their job, be around. I'm going to be around somebody who got some money, whether it be a lot of money or a little bit of money, so that I don't have to pay for anything. Like, okay, I'm going to be an associate. She lets me sleep on her couch. I'm going to sleep on that lady couch or that dude couch for as long as they allow me to. Remember that movie Brewster Place, y'all? Remember Jackie Harry's character? I forget her name, but the way she made her living was to catch car rides or train rides. And she would ride that train until the stop came where she had to get off, and then she would catch another train. The trains are synonymous with gigs, men, whatever it is that takes her to the next opportunity. Baby, is that the baby? Mustafa inquired lazily, flipping through W. Lupe's got it, she said, unconcerned, referring to one of her illegal immigrant nanny trio. Consuela was weekdays, Lupe was weeknights, and Jamadi was weekends, holiday and travel days. If Vanessa's husband, Alonzo, were here, he'd go running. He had extra sensitive ears when it came to the little one. He could hear that kid fart from 3 rooms away. It was bizarre. Yet when Vanessa would ask him to upgrade her wedding ring, he'd play deaf and dumb. Alonzo was the vice president of hookups at Triple Large Entertainment. That is what is actually said on his business card. Transition. He was the hapless brother of CEO Lamont Jackson. His responsibilities, doing whatever Lamont said. His annual salary, very high, 6 figures. Vanessa thought he was a failure. Alonzo wouldn't be accompanying them to heaven tonight. He was out of town on some sort of business. Whatever. Marriage didn't really suit Vanessa de la Cruz. But their 4th date, she discovered she was pregnant. They had done the deed on the... Wait a minute. By their 4th date, she'd discovered she was pregnant. They had done the deed on their 1st, even though Vanessa usually waited until she received an appropriately expensive gift before she invited a man to the paradise that was her vagina. But Alonzo, though not as high profile or rich as the men she'd been dating for a decade, was too sexy to be denied. Tall and ripped. He had short, wavy brown hair, warm chestnut skin, a movie star profile, and a husky voice that made every stupid thing that came out of his luscious lips sound arousing. They ran off to Vegas and were married in a $75 ceremony at the Silver Bell Chapel of Love without telling anyone, except the press. It was so exciting. Vanessa decided to have the baby because, well, all the models were doing it, and she was on the cusp of 30. Motherhood would be her next act. She appeared on the cover of Fit Pregnancy in a Gap maternity ad and nude in her 7th month in an L layout. The accompanying profile, only 1 page when Vanessa felt she deserved 2 at least, quoted her musing about the rigors of pregnancy. I've gained 9.5 pounds, but the sacrifice is so worth it. The joy of impeding motherhood. It's a girl and I can't wait to have another little one running around. And why she planned on naming the baby Vanessa. Why should men be able to do that and not women? Carolina Herrera has a junior. I want one too. Turned out it was a boy. Motherhood was the one thing that suited her less than marriage. Pedro Miguel Antonio de la Cruz Jackson was a cranky baby, and Vanessa was used to sleeping in. The round-the-clock nanny rotation took care of that problem. But Pedro, who had olive skin, big hazel eyes, and a shiny mop of sandy brown curls, just like Mommy, always smiled for the cameras. And wasn't that what counted? Mustafa followed Vanessa as she traipsed into her dressing room, which was designed to look like a chic boutique. She let her long satin robe fall and stood au naturel, eyeing the racks of clothes and cubicles of neatly arranged accessories. Every public outing was an opportunity to preen another fashion shoot. Ashamed of her body, there was no reason. Vanessa was svelte and long-limbed with curves in all the right places. She had enough reinforcement from photographers, bookers, and every man she'd ever dated to know that there was no words to adequately describe her physical perfection. Even after the baby, no lipo needed. Vanessa's first order of business after returning from her honeymoon in Cap Jelica, an exclusive resort in Anguilla, had been to hire a contractor to turn the workout space in Alonzo's former bachelor pad, big and paid for by Lamont, into a closet for her constantly expanding wardrobe. Once married, Alonzo had expected Vanessa to cook and handle other such domestic duties, like his mama had done when he was growing up. But when Alonzo had returned home one evening shortly after their lovely-dovely honeymoon, he'd learned that Vanessa de la Cruz didn't serve. She expected to be served.